Morning all, how we doing? Happy Monday, back again. Morning D, morning Ladder, David. How's everybody's weekend? Get up to anything exciting? Didn't really do much this week. I did a walk this weekend and did some bits and pieces, but nothing particularly exciting. The usual, chillaxing. Right, where are we? So I'm not much further on than Friday, obviously, because nothing much has happened. But yeah, just got a little bit of drawdown from those positions I've got on from Friday. Good week last week, 3.5% ish last week. So a good week. I've got 5 positions on at the moment. Aussie, New Zealand. I've got 2 on, near average. Euro US short. Just added one this morning to this one. That's a pen there. So just added one this morning. I was going to wait for the reversal alert. But the reversal alert's a bit close to my other position, which is there. And the reason I've got on now is Asia took out Friday's high and then made a new lower high. So the market structure this morning took out Friday's high, came lower, made a lower high, and it looked like it was going to make a lower low. So I jumped in on one here, but it's pushing up this morning. So I have got into another position. On that one on the Euro US. Got pound odd, New Zealand CAD and US yen. Pound odd, jumped into another one on that, have I? Yeah, got 3 on that. Jumped into another one on that this morning as well. Mainly on this rejection in Asia. So we pushed up after the propulsion move in Asia and rejected that level, so we looked like we were pushing down again. We made a nice M pattern during the Asian session, so I woke up this morning, saw that, jumped in on another short there. New Zealand CAD sell is in profit. Looking to TP on one of these positions at ADR today if we get down there. And I've got my US dollar yen long on, which again, I've got another position on that one. That's an old position, I think. So just waiting. Everything's basically pretty close to, I'm well within an ADR on everything, but sideways at the minute. Didn't really get up to anything, it was too hot. That's always good. Got back from a week in Italy. I wonder where you'd gone, D. 30th anniversary trip, blimey. Bet Italy was hot. Morning, Trevor. It's hot everywhere at the minute. We're melting. Right, so market's opening in a couple of minutes. Over weekend, I was just reading up on the news this morning, just to see what's happened over the weekend. We've had G7 running. I just wanted to get a quick overview. The main thing that came to my attention was from late Friday. This one here. So Moody's basically have affirmed or confirmed, whatever you want to say, the AAA rating on the US bonds. So a AAA rating basically is the Standard & Poor's rating on stability of bonds that countries sell. So bond purchases generally tend to increase a currency's strength as there's more sort of purchasing of that currency, more faith, if you like, in the currency's strength. So it's good to see, because we've seen very little strength in the US dollar over the last couple of weeks. It's been very sideways, but it's good to see that the markets are still happy with the US dollar, because I was getting a little bit worried. We were wandering a little bit on the US. If you look at the Euro US, which is the... I've got the Dixie actually, because I've got my Axie account open. I can show you the Dixie. Oh crikey, where's the Dixie? What have I done with it? I haven't even got it there. Pop that up the top. So with the US dollar, put that right at the top. Obviously, we've had, this is obviously the daily view, then we've had basically a little bit of waning. So we had the big push, double topped, and we've waned from there. So we're putting in a fairly decent low on the Dixie at the minute. So the dollar is kind of bottoming out, but waiting for some strength to come through on it, and it's not really happening at the moment. And this was kind of slightly worrying me that we weren't going anywhere. But it's good to see that we've got a little bit of faith in the US dollar. So fingers crossed. Just stick the DAX up there. That's the Dow, put the DAX. So that's good. So that's the only news really that I saw over the weekend that's of any interest at all at the minute. This week we got G7 again today and tomorrow. Nothing really happens on G7. The only thing really that we could get this affecting is potentially gold, because they are looking to ban all gold imports from Russia, which will affect potentially gold pricing if that happens. I don't think they will necessarily sign anything today, but they are trying to put in place an agreement on that, so that might have an impact on gold. And the only other thing we could have an impact with is if they come up with anything to do with further Russian sanctions. That may have an impact, but there's nothing really planned as far as I'm aware. So we should be okay with G7. Don't tend to really get a massive reaction off of that. Morning, Stevie. So today we'll go over this week's news. So today basically we've got durable goods for the US dollar pre-market. Pending home sales don't tend to do anything because it's not really, it's housing permits, which is the important thing, not the pending home sales. So durable goods this afternoon may get a little bit of impact, probably not a lot. We've got Lagarde speaking tomorrow morning, and then we've got G7. We've got consumer confidence tomorrow afternoon, which again, this is a bit like the University of Michigan that we had on Friday. It doesn't really tend to do a lot. They class this one as red news, but it doesn't really tend to do much. We get the odd spike off of it, but it's nothing that's going to fundamentally change anything. Richmond doesn't do anything. Then we got New Zealand news in the morning, which is not going to do anything. We've got CPIs for Germany. All day? That's not an all day event. CPIs are released at a time. Don't know why that says all day. Market's open, as you can see. Loads of bullish buying this morning. So the first news we've got basically is GDP on Wednesday afternoon. And then we've got Lagarde speaking, Bailey and Powell all at the same time. Basically, that's obviously some kind of conference they're speaking at the ECB. Yeah, so we could have some movement out of that. Talking heads always a bit worrying because they can get asked questions and things tend to move based on their answers. We've got final GDP for the US dollar, so that's your first real moving event or moving area, and that's happening at New York Open as well. So we could have a fairly volatile open on Wednesday. Apart from that, we've got GDP for the CAD, PCE for the US dollar, and then PMIs on Friday. So nothing's really happening this week until Wednesday afternoon. So fairly quiet start to the week. May not get a massive amount of movement. Let's have a quick look where we've gone at the open then. So big pushes up at the open. That's a hell of a opening range gone in on the DAX. Look at the size of that. Jeez. Oh yeah, big opening range. So looking at the indices, we're down on the DAX. We've still got this wacky great weekly gap on the DAX, but at the moment we had a fairly sort of sideways week last week, because after this big push down we had a pullback and then a drop, and then we've pulled back again. So basically the week was a rotation, so we're just sitting there at the moment in rotation on the DAX. We had a bit of a gap this morning which filled very, very quickly over kind of in the overnight. They're touching back up onto that gap now as well. So DAX, obviously we are looking for downside. It's very, very extended after this big old drop, so I'm not surprised we're getting a bit of upward movement. We're due a pullback on this really, so there is potential for it to pull all the way back up into this area before the next leg down. But saying that, we've had decent drop obviously on the US indices, which pulled back very nicely last week and filled in the gaps. So the weekly gap that we were looking at on the Nasdaq and the S&P got filled, and the Dow. So we are clear for a next leg down now, and that was a big old movement that we had on Friday across the board. So everything is clear for next leg down. It's whether or not they're going to come up and re-challenge these highs again before they put that leg in. So difficult to tell where we're going at the moment, but plenty of room obviously to the downside on all indices still. So it's still bearish, remaining bearish, and you know, this is a 50% retracement now, so we're either going to get some kind of reaction in the next couple of days around here for a next leg down, or they're going to try and do a deep pullback, a little bit like we had here. Yeah, so deep pullback on the move. So this move here, we could look for a deep pullback and drop, or we could be using this move here for a pullback and drop. So one of those two scenarios is going to play out. So if we need to be looking for signs of weakness today, if that happens, then we could well be on a weak and drop. Failing that, we'll be looking for reactions around these highs or above these highs for a new move down. So quite a critical point we're at today with all the US indices. So it'll be interesting to see where they go at the open. At the moment, we had that flurry of buying coming in. So yeah, looking strong. Right, back to FX. So let me just turn them down a little bit. Chirping away. From an ADR perspective, we haven't got anything at the moment lit up. So our Asian session this morning was fairly quiet. We'll go through all the FX pairs this morning. So yeah, not an awful lot of movement during Asia. We've had a fair bit of movement on some of the Aussie pairs, but nothing's got down to ADR. We've kind of had a half ADR moves put in and a fair bit of whipsaw as well. So nothing particularly exciting to write home about. It's all kind of been undone what we got. So nothing there. Obviously weeklies, nothing's hit. Monthlies, we are at the end of the month, but most of this is all played out. It was all Swiss franc and yen related mainly this month. So we've kind of had the movements off of the monthlies. So 27th, where are we? January, February, March, April, May, June. So we are end of quarter. So this week could be fairly turbulent as we get end of quarter moves put in. So quarter ends basically is what you're seeing on the 72. So the 24 and 72s are the monthly and the quarterly moving averages, and obviously they are the main reporting periods, monthly reporting and quarterly reporting, which is where we tend to see the banks and institutions putting in large moves to get their profit figures in, get their targets hit, and just basically get their investments to where they want to be for the investor reporting. So we quite often see big moves end of quarter. We haven't got a massive amount of news this week to fall in line with manipulation, but Wednesday and Thursday, obviously Thursday's the last day of the month, so Wednesday and Thursday is where we've got obviously the news starting to hit. So I think these are probably the days we're going to see the most volatility this week. But it looks like it's pretty volatile out the gates at the moment. Obviously the market's pumping pretty hard. So so nothing to report there at all. The hourlies, we're flat as well. There's nothing really getting close on the hourlies either. The only thing that we're fairly close on that I can see there is the US dollar CAD. We've been bouncing off the RSI low down here at the 38 retracement. So potentially some kind of bounce around here, but obviously this could go down further at the minute, so we're only just tapping around there. US dollar CAD is a difficult one at the moment because the bias is long on both of these, which is why we've got a nice range going on. So we are down at range lows. It's been respected twice, this level, so pretty key area. If we break down through there, we'll probably get a little bit of a pump down. Difficult to pick a spot really on this. That's the main sort of last accumulation. So somewhere around here potentially, if we're going to get a continued weakness on the US or we get strength on the CAD. Depends which of those is going to power up first. That's really pushing this morning. Good moves. Right, so so that's basically the only thing you got on the hourlies. 4 hourlies, totally flat as well. So a lot of this stuff that we had led up last week has either played out or we're back in normal ranges. There's quite a few things which are getting close. Aussie dollar CAD being one of them. But obviously we're just pushing up on that and it's just rejected, so unlikely that's going to light up. So yeah, flat on the 4 hours as well. So there's nothing to look at from a mean reversion perspective at the moment. There's nothing really extended that has been a fast movement recently that we can take advantage of. So we'll have a whiz through all the pairs this morning and have a look at each individually and see if there's any opportunities, any good levels that we're getting at to get into any new positions that I'm not already in. Has anybody got anything they want to have a look at specifically? Just let me know and I can cover that in a bit more detail when we get to it. So we'll have a look at Bitcoin actually as well. Have I got that on there? No. Crypto 2? No. Crypto 1. So slight recovery. Well, I say slight recovery. It's not really gone anywhere, is it? That's where everybody bought. Everybody that was hemorrhaging cash and crying bought here. And since then they've been put through pain for a week. So yeah, not looking good, is it? On the old crypto front. Nice bullish engulfing, so yeah, interesting. A lot of speculation where this is going. Personally, I think we're going back down to 5,000, but look at that. Unbelievable. I don't laugh. I don't like laughing at people's expense, but if you are going to invest in something created by a man that has never shown his face and something that has no fundamental meaning behind it, you're going to get burnt. So this is the support everybody's looking at buying. Everybody's like, oh, it's down to 20,000, buy it, buy it, buy it. Really? You're crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's more dropping points on this to go. Look at where it started from. Yeah, before we had the explosion, 2018. It's very, very, very easy for this to get back here. We're not far away, are we? If you look at what we've done in the last, 1, 2, 3 months, we've done, I can't even, the figures don't even make sense, 2.7 million pips down. We've only got 1.9 million, so we're halfway there in 3 months. You know, it took, what's that, 2017. It took 4 years to get there, and less than a year to get back. Don't really want to get interested in that. Same as Ethereum. Buy it at your peril. People are losing houses on this. People are taking out bank loans to buy this. Seriously. Anyway, that's crypto. So I just want to have a quick look at it. I'm just curious as to where it's going each day, because you don't often see market collapses like this, and it's just interesting to watch it unfold. Right, back to serious stuff. US dollar yen, Aussie dollar Swiss. Okay, morning Jesse. I'll have a look at those. So Aussie dollar CAD. I'm just watching what's going on with the indices. Still loads of buying coming in on the indices. Big strong moves this morning. So Aussie dollar CAD. We are down at a decent potential support level down here. Obviously this is a little bit counter trend at the moment. Aussie dollar's been very weak. Canadian dollar will be strong off the back of oil increases. That reminds me, just have a quick look at oil while we're talking about the CAD. Oil, where are you? Yeah, so we're starting to recover. So oil basically, 150 is the call over the next 12 months. All the way out there. It's probably going to get there before that, I would suspect. We had the $18 drop, which happened over the last sort of week or two. So this is obviously where it's cheap at the moment, and we have got a lot of people starting to buy it up now. So looking for increase in oil prices. We are starting to do that today, and on Friday we had a little bit of a push. So as long as we can break back above this area here, we should see oil continue in an upward movement. So that will give Canadian dollar more strength. So from a trend perspective, obviously you can see we're in a downtrend on this at the moment. This is the level that I was looking at when I was shorting this last week, which we smashed through, and obviously target was going to be down at these lows, which it hit. I got out somewhere around here. So at the moment we're just sat in an accumulation towards the end of the week, so potentially we've got a pullback available on this and then a drop, but unless there's anything Australian dollar that is going to make this thing wake up this week, I suspect the Canadian dollar is going to take over, and we'll just see a slow grind down. So not particularly interesting in an entry down here. I'd much rather see us get a pullback. If we can get a pullback up into there somewhere, I'd be interested to short, potentially back up into this area here, this line of support. If we can get back up to there, so an ADR hit to the upside today, that's potentially where I'll be interested in getting in, if we can get up there. But it's unlikely that we'll get up there, I think, but we'll see. Aussie dollar Swiss. Obviously that's a short. So Swiss franc, we are still undecided at the moment on the Swissy. Obviously the Swissy, with the rate announcement, put in a massive move down. No signs of weakness at all, and then continue to push down, and then continue to push down. This Swiss franc took everybody by surprise, and I really do not want to long this at the moment. I think you're going to get a pullback on it at some point, but I don't think the pullback is going to be very strong. You're going to need a very strong currency against the Swissy to actually get any movement on this. So something like the US dollar against the Swissy, or the Canadian dollar, potentially have got the power to pull back. You can see obviously the US dollar Swiss has been much more resistive after the initial move. CAD Swiss has a little bit as well, but I don't think really you want to be longing this at the moment, because there's no sign of the Swissy letting up. If it's not strong, it's neutral. There's no weakness in it, so you're going to need this to be weak and the Australian dollar to be strong for any kind of movement up. Very, very nicely extended, but obviously we're just in accumulation. So I've been since this rate announcement came out, I've been saying just leave it alone, don't trade it, because the likelihood is we're just going to see a squeeze, which is what we're getting. So even though this is kind of 1, 2, third leg down, I can quite easily see 4 or 5 legs on this. So I'm interested in getting in up here, or potentially up here. So this sort of support here where we accumulated. If we can get ourselves back up to here, I'll be interested in shorting it, because if you get in there and you're wrong and this isn't where we're going to start our move down, it's going to pull back up and you're going to find a lot of sellers up there, which is going to push it down. So entry there, and then start getting in a position for the next leg down short on it. So at the moment it's just not of interest. If you are trying to mean revert this, you just got to be prepared, I think, for further legs down, and if you can get out of it, I'd probably get out of it at break even and just say, you're right, well, don't, lesson learnt on it. But I mean, it could at any time. We don't know. This is the one thing we can't know about, is timing in the market. At any point this could go, absolutely could. You just don't know when it's going to happen. At the moment, fundamentals on it are that. So, you want to be shorting it. You didn't want to be shorting it until the rate announcement came out. Now you do. So no opportunities on it really there. Aussie New Zealand, I'm long, near break even on this one. I'm buying up the 72. This is the point in line in the sand. So yeah, just waiting on this. I hasn't gone anywhere since I got in. I got in here. We pulled back down. I got in again. We haven't gone anywhere. So I'm just waiting on the Aussie New Zealand. Obviously, the Aussie is stronger than the New Zealand. Usually is. No reason to do anything but wait. So longs on it. Good looking long opportunity now. You just had a reverse alert on M15 today. So you can get into it now. Long way to go. So we're in a perfect spot between the 24 and the 72 for trend continuation. The only worrying thing about this one is this double top. We didn't make a new high there, so the market structure failed, and we've made a new low. So potentially this is a peak formation high, low. That isn't really enough of a pullback, I don't think. So I think what we're going to do here is potentially go into a kind of range play. So I'll be looking to get out of it somewhere around 50% retracement on that move, I think. But I'll just wait to see. Obviously at the moment it's not going anywhere, so I can't do anything with it. Aussie Yen longs. I took a long on this last week and got out beautifully, just as it turned. But it's still a long for me. Aussie Yen. I've got US dollar Yen long on at the moment, so I'm not going to take any more Yen exposure just at the moment. Kuroda was making noise over the weekend about how much they need to help their citizens with everything. So, you know, and this is what they've been saying. They've got a plan in place to help to inflate the currency, but they haven't managed to implement it at the moment. So we're still waiting for them to do something. So I do like the yen still as a long, everything long against the yen, but at any time Kuroda can come in and that yen will power up. And when that does, I don't want to be on two positions. So I'm keeping myself fairly lightly exposed on the yen at the moment. So I'm just holding the $1 yen, just got the single exposure on it. So long here, really nice. You've just had a reversal again on M15. I know you hasn't gone anywhere since Thursday. That's why I say we're just sideways. Reversal alert is going to be on the break of the Asian highs this morning. So yeah, good looking long. We need some Aussie dollar strength though, and as I say, we're not getting a lot of Aussie strength at the moment. It's very neutral, neutral to weak really, I'd say at the minute, but that will change. It's only pulling back. So good looking long opportunity there. If you get a break of that high, you know you're off up there somewhere. So you know, if you can get a decent push on this, I think we've got some good movement ahead of us, but it's going to be very dependent on the yen. Indices pushing up again. Aussie dollar, US dollar. Shorts, again, we're just waiting on the US dollar. As you can see, since we had the push down, the US dollar has just gone nowhere. We're just contracting at the minute, waiting for that next leg to start on the US dollar. There is potential, obviously, for a bit more of a pullback on it, but you know, we're neutral. There's a lot of sideways movement at the moment. It's summer trading starting, and it all tends to get a bit quiet. Pulled back on 1.7. Okay. So I'll just look at another chart. I'm just watching what's going on in the indices. We seem to be stalling out a little bit on the indices. Struggling to make new highs. We are getting a lot of buying coming in, but they're not making an awful lot of progress. Need to get these highs broken really to get anywhere. So yeah, Aussie dollar, US dollar, I'll be looking for short opportunities on it. At the moment, there's nothing. We're kind of sideways. We've got some levels potentially after this big drop. Obviously, we had that nice pullback. Looked like next leg was starting, and it just kind of petered out into nothing. So we'll be looking for short opportunities on it. But at the moment, you could hit the button now. And you've got just as much chance of this just getting that next leg in as you have of it doing a little bit of a pullback, so it's just not really ripe. CAD Swiss, again, this is now a long against a long. I don't fancy the CAD's chances against the Swissy if the Swiss is going to continue to power up. The CAD will, I think, continue to power up overall, but the CAD is more likely to be a steady move, whereas the Swiss franc is very much a injection of cash, wait a bit, injection of cash. So I think we'll probably find this going into quite erratic ranges. So at the moment, until it's put in a pullback, I wouldn't be looking for anything on it. But from a mean reversion perspective, this one's got way more chance. This and the US dollar have got way more chance of getting this done because they've got strength. So, but as you can see, it's struggling. Since that rate announcement, everything has struggled against the Swissy. So, mean reversion, yeah, it could well go. If it doesn't, you're going to get into a bit of a squeeze on it, and how long that will last is difficult to tell. There's talk of the Swiss franc becoming the next safe haven currency. If that's the case, you'd want to be long in it, not short in it. We're in a very risk-off market at the moment. The fear and greed index is very much fear. So safe haven currencies, as used to be the yen and the US dollar, will tend to be where all the money goes. At the moment, the Swissy seems to be winning. So CAD yen longs, this is one of the best longs at the minute. As you see, I took this one last week. Missed the entry there on that pullback. It's already gone, but long. So yeah, good moves on the CAD yen. Missed it though at the moment. You could get in now. I'll be looking for the highs to be tested and probably broken on this. So it depends which time frame you're looking at. You've probably missed it actually on all time frames, even the hourly. Yeah, the hourly, it was Friday. It's already gone. So yeah, missed it. Swiss yen, obviously off to the moon. Swiss franc, strongest currency at the moment against the weakest currency at the moment. You're not going to get in that. Again, if this was to pull back for any reason, yes, I'd be all over it. I don't think we'll get back to the 24 on a pullback. I think what we'll find with this one is we'll go into an accumulation or potentially go into a very weak flag, and then the 24 will catch and then it will fly from there, and I don't think we'll get in touch with the 24. So hard one to get into. If it was to pull back to support, yes, I'd be very interested. You may well get a 24 hit then, but at the moment it's too extended. Do you think the ban on Russian gold will push gold higher on the short term? I don't think so. Gold's been flat, isn't it? The gold has been flat because of what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. Russia is one of the highest holders of gold and the largest investors in gold. They hold the majority of it, and no one's been buying it because Russia's got most of it, and now they're putting an import ban on it. I don't think it will have much impact at all, to be honest, because it's not moving anywhere, so nothing much will change. If anything, yes, it will probably have a positive move because it will be scarcer to get, because you won't be able to buy the Russian gold, but there's plenty of gold out there, so it's a difficult one to tell really what will happen with gold. I suspect it could well have a push higher, yeah, but at the moment we're flat, so don't know. I don't really trade gold, and it's a simple supply and demand thing, but I don't, from what I can see, there isn't a lot of demand out there at the moment. So if supply gets cut, will it affect it? Probably not. But yeah, difficult one to decipher, that one. CAD yen we've done, Swiss yen we've done. Euros, so euro at the minute we are still waiting for rates, and that's coming next month. So the first rate increase on the euro is going to be next month, in which case the euro is going to start to move, potentially obviously upside on the euro, and it looks to me like the market is kind of holding the euro at the moment. So we've, like I said, beginning of this month, my bias on euro has gone from negative to kind of that. I will be going more that over the coming months, I'm sure, but at the moment I'm sort of neutrally bearish on it. So I'm looking really to trade it against the stronger currencies like the US dollar and the CAD, which is why I've got a euro US dollar short position on at the moment, because it's the one which has got the most likelihood to get that movement. So if the euro does strengthen up, you want to be trading it against something that's going to strengthen with it and has more chance of pushing it down, like the US dollar or the CAD. Don't forget the euro is a massive currency. So it's, you know, it's one of the biggest traded currencies in the world. It's the largest landmass of currency after the US. So you've got an awful lot of potential power sitting there on the euro. The problem is obviously the European economy is struggling massively, and now we've got Ukraine thrown in the mix. It's on the doorstep of conflict. So however, they are recovering, they are putting plans in place to battle inflation, and there are going to be interest rate rises coming. So that will strengthen the euro. It's really going to depend on what Lagarde decides to do with those rates, whether those rates are going to come out as expected or whether they're going to come out different to expected. We're not going to find that out until this month. Everybody else has put rates up more than were anticipated. It's very possible the euro is going to do the same thing. I suspect, though, the impact will be very similar to what we saw with the pound. It will be a kind of whipsaw move on rate announcement. So it's a very difficult one to call at the moment with euro. Euro odd is obviously very neutral. At the minute, we've got an Australian dollar which is fairly weak against a neutral euro. So just get that spread indicator. I don't need that. That's something we were talking about on Friday. We've double topped up there and done a little bit of a liquidity run. I think this is probably a fake head here. I don't think this is a stop run. I think we're probably going to get a little bit more upside on it. So I'm not really interested in shorting it there. Potentially it's a good short, but only down to sort of lows somewhere around 1.5 ADR. So you're not going to get massive movements out of this at the minute. So it's probably not the best thing to trade on the euro. But we have flipped long. From a moving average perspective, the 24 and the 72 have just crossed. So it is gone a little bit more bullish, isn't it? So potentially longs, but I don't think that's the best thing to be trading at the moment. Euro CAD, this is a good one as well. You can see I did a load of shorting on this. Took a load of shorts, which all played out very nicely. But we are stuck in this range. This low here is where I was interested in. Whoops, wrong button. Breaking, and we did break it, but we rejected it straight away, and we held that area. We came back down, we retested it and held it. We came back down, we retested it and held it. We have just broken through it now, though, and fairly convincingly. We didn't just break through it; we pulled back and put a new leg down in. So the market structure, although we put in a new higher high there, we put in a lower low there. So I think this potentially has good movement down. This accumulation gap here, propulsion gap rather, here after this accumulation is a really nice target to the downside. So I really like EuroCAD as a short. I've got a euro on at the minute and a CAD on. So I've kind of got this trade already on with other positions, EuroCAD short. But yeah, this is a good looking one for a short opportunity. It's pulling back a little bit at the moment, but looking at it on the 4 hour, we're back up at this level of resistance here. Sorry, we've got this level of resistance here as a backup. So if this does decide it wants to push rather than drop, there's a very simple second entry in 1 ADR away there. So really easy entry, easy plan for a trade. So ADR's 117, that's 145. So if you were to get in now, looking to play it back down to these lows, so assuming basically until we get told otherwise, assuming we're going to stay in the range. You've got the Canadian dollar, which is potentially going to be very strong, against the euro, which is neutral to weak. And you've got time before the rate announcement to get down to these lows. If it does decide to push up or it decides to stay in a range, you get in again up there and you get out of there before the rate announcement. So it looks like a really good short. I've kind of got it on already, that exposure. So there's not much point in me doing it, because if it doesn't play out, all I'm just going to do is increase my drawdown. So, but yeah, if you're not on EuroCAD type short, getting short anytime you like, really, on that one. Euro Swiss, again, Euro Swiss has always been a sell. Now the Swissies done that, yeah, this is still a sell. Even if the euro powers up, the thing you have to remember about the euro and the Swiss is that they are in the eurozone. They do interact with each other an awful lot and move in tandem. So when the euro moves, the Swissy moves a lot of the time. The Swissy is always a little bit stronger than the euro has been. So if the euro powers up, that's going to help the Swissy power up more. And if the Swissy is the new safe haven, we're going to basically see stronger moves on the Swissy. So any kind of pullbacks, I still think would look good for shorts, but I don't really want to mean revert it down here with the strength of that movement. Yeah, the market really is just not getting anywhere near pulling back into this, is it? So yeah, euro pound still bullish on the indices at the moment. Good volume going through the indexes. Euro pound, again, this one at the moment is like that, likely to flip to that. So I suspect this new kind of ever so slight incline we've got going is probably going to continue. But you look at the ADR on it and you look at the movement that we're getting. When you get into a trade on this, you're going to be sitting in it potentially for days, trying to get to a high of a range. So it's a real slug to trade at the moment, and it's very difficult to find an entry on. You know, if you look at this for the last week, you know, if you'd have entered down here and you didn't take your profit off there, you're still in the thing. Doesn't matter where you entered, anywhere at the bottom of this range, you're still in it. It's just not moving. So it's kind of accumulating unevenly down here, ready for a move. And you got to look at what we've got coming up. You know, there's nothing on the euro, there's nothing on the pound. We've got obviously talking heads on both on Wednesday at the ECB conference, but there's nothing fundamental coming out on these at the moment. So it's difficult to trade it. I'd be more interested in longs than shorts. So if you did want to get on the euro pound, it's an M5 vehicle at the moment because it's really, really tight and range bound. So just try and get in on reversal alerts long when you see them. But it's just not very interested in going anywhere at the minute. Euro yen, again, everything long against the yen at the moment. The yen had a little bit of a bullish move on, I think it was Wednesday last week, Thursday, but not gone anywhere since then. So still looking for longs on that. Euro is at the moment not the best thing to take. There's other better things like the CAD and the US dollar, which I'm already on, but still bullish on it. Your entry on this would have been down here somewhere, but it's just not very easy to get into at the moment because really it's just stuck in this big range up at the top, so hard to get into. But I'll be looking more for longs than shorts at the minute until the Bank of Japan comes out and says otherwise. Euro New Zealand, again, same thing as the Australian dollar. We've got a fairly weak Aussie and a fairly weak New Zealand. We've got a neutral weak euro, hence doing that. We've got that triple top bounce that we looked at last week. It pushed out through the highs and then collapsed through it. That was your short, but you haven't gone anywhere. And it's slightly more bullish than bearish. So again, another thing that's just really hard to trade. It's just nothing of interest there at all. Franco, sorry, I didn't see your question. Even with high volatile markets, I've been able to win more of my 1 day, 3 day hold trades. Learning patience and to stop pressing the trades. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, excuse me, we're in a very, we've got a fair decent amount of volatility, but we've also got a massive amount of range trading as well. So you can kind of get into anything anywhere at the moment and get out because it's just moving up and down a lot. This is a prime example. But it just takes a long time for things to happen at the moment across most of these currencies. It's all very news driven. So the market, because we've got such a fear driven market at the moment, there's not a lot of massive speculative investment going in, which helps to move price. So we're getting moved mostly by news, which is always the case, but fundamentals are making much more movement because people are waiting for the fundamentals to come in and then they're executing their speculative positions. So you're getting faster moves and more volatility happening around news, and then you're getting a lot of not quite sure where to go next type thing, which is exactly what we're seeing with the Swissy. So it's good trading conditions, but just slow after the entries. You know, so you tend to get stuck in stuff where you sit for a while, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it's good. Euro New Zealand. So yeah, it's range bound bullish. So I'll be looking for longs. So if we can get back down to the 24, I might get interested in a little long somewhere down here. But again, Euro's just a bit flat, New Zealand's a bit flat, unless there's a news catalyst coming up. Not really worth trading. If you're going to take RSI extensions, mean reversion trades, they tend to be working very, very well at the moment. But short term, in and out, fast as you can. Don't try and hold anything, especially if you're going bearish on the Euro, which is likely going to have some power coming through at some point. So Euro US dollar short, I'm in this one already. Again, we're range bound, haven't been able to do anything. We're in here at the moment. We're coming back up to the top again, which is great. So hopefully we're going to get some movement down. Waiting on the US dollar, 24's holding. It's just not going anywhere. So I'm short it based on US dollar strength being expected. The problem at the moment we've got with the US dollar as well is the indices are having a push for the last few days, obviously, which means the US dollar is typically sort of neutral to weak when we have the index pushes. So it's holding it down at the moment. But yeah, can't get anywhere. So in short, it's coming up to the highs again. This accumulation, basically, propulsion gap is holding price here. We've got a very nice support, which hopefully will turn resistance up at the 106,400 level. So if we push up to there, I may be interested in taking another one. It's a bit close. I'd have to see what happens with price action. If we take out the highs here, I'm probably getting another one there. Might do. Failing that, definitely up there. So I'm watching this one today. If we get anywhere near ADR today, then yeah, I'll be in again. But I'm not sure we will. So Euro US dollar shorts. Pound odd. Short on the pound at the moment. Australian dollar's just really let me down. Looked like we were going to get some decent movement and we pulled back. So at the moment we are retesting and we've got very nice wick rejection going on back at the reverse alert. So this is a lovely retest of the reverse alert on 4 hour. Hopefully start of the leg down on the M pattern. But at the moment, again, we're not going anywhere for the last day. So we'll see. But very strong pushback on that move down. So it's still fairly bullish. So I'm short on it overall though. Reason for the short was obviously all these lows being rejected. Looked like we were rejecting the lows, looking for a push down. And this is where I was expecting the sellers to step in, which they have, but not strong enough at the moment. So this blue rectangle here, it designates that high down to this high here. So it's that area, which has been rejected very nicely. So this is where I'm expecting the reversal to really kick in. We didn't get any strong pushes up into there, so the market's not really been strong enough to go any higher. So it's looking good. It's just not going anywhere, as I say. Just stuck in stuff at the minute. Pound CAD is a very difficult one. We've got no strength on the CAD at the moment. I think this is going to continue. Based on Canadian dollar strength. It's going to be very grindy, so as long as the pound remains sort of neutrally weak, we should be okay on this for shorts. I've got too much other pound CAD exposure on, but this is exactly where I'd like to take it, and we've got a propulsion gap target to the downside to aim for as well. So it looks good for a nice move back down into this area here at least. But at the moment, again, just stuck sideways. Pound Swiss, we know about the Swiss. Up to you if you're feeling brave. There is a good mean reversion trade, but you know this is not going anywhere. Nothing is beating the Swissy at the minute, so it's a dangerous one. This thing could just continue to track the moving average. You know, there's so much strength in the Swiss franc at the moment, but as soon as they turn that tap off, we only take a little bit of strength on the pound to push it, and everything, anything that gets strong at any point has got a chance of getting that pullback done on the Swiss. But that's where I'm interested in shorts. Much rather be interested in shorts on it than longs. If I never get one, you know, the Euro Swiss is a prime example. Where are my pound Swiss? I was trying to short this throughout this whole move, and I couldn't get an entry because it just didn't give. You got one there, but you know, you just didn't get any strength on the RSI, any moves that was strong enough to beat the Swiss franc, and you know, it just kept doing breakouts. You know, 90% of the time your breakouts will fail. Breakouts fail most of the time, unless you're scalping, in which case then they're usually pretty good because you just get head fakes on breakouts, which you can trade. But normally breakout trades fail, and this thing just broke out. We're in danger of this happening again. So any kind of mean reversion on it, you know, imagine getting stuck the wrong side of it there. Yeah, you're in this for months. Not nice. So all these pairs, I'd much rather wait for any kind of pullback to get a short in, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm just not going to be able to trade the Swiss franc, which is fine. There's plenty of other stuff out there. We've got 28 pairs. So yeah, so pound Swiss, same as every other Swiss. Pound yen, again longs, waiting for some kind of strength at the moment. Pullback, I'm much rather get interested in pullbacks down here. We may well not get them. Again, yen, difficult. We've just had a reversal alert. We've just broken those highs. Again, do you want to really take that? Could well just be a fake out. But yeah, that is a long signal. So you haven't got far to go to that high, and that is a really nice double top we got on that one as well. So where we are at the moment, looking at the low and the high, you're kind of sitting up here. So taking long positions in the top half of a range is probably not the best thing to do. We want to pull back and take the longs from somewhere that's valuable rather than somewhere that is kind of already moving. So not a great entry. Is a long signal. From a scalp perspective, could be quite good, but I'd much rather be interested in getting in here down this area. Pound New Zealand, sideways mess. No idea what to do with that. Take your pick. If you get RSI extensions on it, short it. If you get long, you know, just get long and get short. Any sign of strength at the moment, because that's what we're doing. But we are contracting as well. Yeah, so we are getting tighter on this range. So we're ready for an explosive move. New Zealand's been very dormant. So potentially we might get some movement off of the New Zealand. Still nothing positive I can see about the pound, so I'd be more interested in a break to the downside on this. We're just coming out of a nice big downward move, so if you put a sticker fib on this move, yeah, we're in the 50-38 zone on this. We just haven't got a new leg, so one big accumulation. Your guess is as good as mine which way that one's going to go. Pound US shorts, waiting for US dollar strength. It's in a pretty good spot now. So the MA is catching up, the 24 is catching up on this accumulation. So yeah, anywhere around here looks good for short opportunities. This area here is where we broke from. So this should become our next area of resistance, which I've got drawn in here. So entries, if you wanted to take an entry now, assuming that we're not going to take these highs, probably a good spot to be getting in short, waiting for that US dollar strength to come through. Failing that, you'd be scaling in up here. So it looks good for shorts at the moment, but again, you know, same as everything else, we're just not going anywhere. Market's flat. New Zealand's, I've got New Zealand CAD on short based on the CAD's strength, which is going pretty well at the moment. So entry was basically after this pullback. So looking for that to continue. New Zealand is neutral weak at the minute, and we should see Canadian dollars continually grinding. So we're just looking for that grind basically. Probably no sharp movements, just gradually moving down, selling the pullbacks, waiting for the next legs. So that should continue for the foreseeable based on oil prices rising and Canadian dollar strength. So just not very quick at the minute. ADR is 79. It's just taking ages. So quite happy to get in a little bit tighter on this one. As you can see, I've got two fairly close positions. I took one and then the EA got me into the second position. But I'd be quite happy to get in sort of maybe even a quarter, half an ADR apart on it, because the movement is so slow. You'll be able to get out of it very quickly. New Zealand dollar Swiss, same as the rest of the Swissies. Long it at your peril. It's going to work or it's not. If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't work, you could go into pain for weeks. So, as I say, the safest play is to sit on your hands and wait. The aggressive play is have a go. But if you're going to long the Swissy, and I said this last week and probably the week before, or it was after this news basically, if you're going to long it. These propulsion gaps, we know a lot of the time they will get filled, at least tested. So there is a good chance we are at least going to test it. So take it with a stop. Yeah, just make sure that when you're getting in, if you're getting in right now, yeah, as long as you've got a positive risk reward on it, it's a decent trade. It's just that you might fail 2 or 3 times, in which case then it just becomes a break-even trade, doesn't it? If the third one works and the first 2 fail and you get a 3-to-1, you're just getting a break-even really on it. So it's just not a very good opportunity to be standing in front of a moving train at the minute. New Zealand dollar yen, again, New Zealand dollar's got no strength. You can see that we've put in new lower highs on this. We are right down here. Everything's looking like it wants to move against the yen at the moment, but nothing's got any strength, and this is in exactly the same boat as the euro, as the pound, as everything else. It's just not quite got enough legs to beat the yen. But this is where you'd like to be buying it from, somewhere between the 38 to 61 retracement on the move and at the 24. So the entry on this was last week, really, somewhere down here. So longs. Same with the New Zealand US, this is doing the same sort of thing, but we've got a short bias on this one. So we got that double bottom put in, which it bounced off very nicely. We've retested and then we've just started making new lows and fading away, but we are not getting the US dollar strength. So New Zealand is weak, US dollar, as I say, with that AAA rating, more faith in the US dollar strong, but we've got no news catalysts at the moment moving the market, therefore we're just sitting there floating around waiting, as we are with everything. So short-term time frames are probably your best. H1 and M5 are probably your better options at the minute, because at least you can get in and get out with some quick scalps on M5. But when you get in, sod's law, that's going to be the one where it actually flies. So it's just waiting for some kind of movement. At the minute where you are is a very difficult place to trade. We'd be looking much more interested up here. ADRs, so keeping really close eye on the ADR dash and waiting for some of those ADR levels to get sprung into life, where we've got a bias in the opposite direction. Those are your entries, waiting for it to actually get some movement, where potentially they're just reaching for some liquidity. There's liquidity sitting there, there's liquidity sitting there. If we get a 125 ADR hit on that, yeah, interested, but just it's flat, not going anywhere. but short bias against the US. US dollar CAD is the tricky one. It's a long against a long. We are pulling down into these lows, which is previous resistance, which is holding very nicely at the moment on the 38 retracement. Want to wait for some signs of strength, but obviously bear in mind this is a currency where if we get an injection of strength on the US dollar, that then wanes and fades away. Likelihood is the US dollar, the Canadian dollar strength is going to do the inverse, and we're going to get that sort of movement. And if we do, you want to be playing RSI extensions on it. They're both strong currencies. We could well just go into ranges on this, but at the moment the range is absolutely huge. So where you are at the moment isn't the best place to be taking any trades. I'd be interested in longs somewhere around here, which would be a nice 50% pullback. 61.8 would be even good. And then you know that if it is going to continue like that, the US dollar's weak and the Canadian dollar's strong, you'd be looking to get in and out on some kind of bounce in the range. But where we are at the moment, I don't really want to be shorting the US dollar because I think we've had such a prolonged spell of weakness on it. We should see some strength, so it's just not for me at the minute. But if you drop down to M5 and you see this put a new high in, we may well just be playing that bottom here. Yeah, so a push up to the top. So you've got a good sort of roughly ADR potential move if this is going to stay range bound up here. But it's obviously got an awful lot of room to the downside, so it's a dangerous one. Not in the right place, I don't think. US dollar Swiss is again really tempted, wasn't I? Last week I was so tempted to hit the buy on that, but I just could not trade against that strength, and it's flagged down ever so slightly. We are holding this low though at the minute. So you know, it's a difficult one. Again, it's a high risk trade. So if you're going to try this as a support that is going to hold, stop loss. Yeah, tiny risk, potential massive reward to come back up into that propulsion gap. Very, very, very high risk reward trade. So taking reversal, the reversal was here on M15. So if we get any kind of sort of bullish move, in fact the trade on this I think is pending above the highs there. Yeah, so, or if you want to be a little bit safer, above the highs there. Yeah, so if we get a range breakout to the upside on this, assume that this is holding support and we're going to get a move back up to the highs of the range. Yeah, so if you're going to get in there, your stop's under the Asian low. If you're going to get in there, stop's really under the Asian low as well. If you want to be really safe, put your stop under Friday's low. So there's a good potential risk reward trade on that. Target one would be somewhere in this accumulation at the highs there within ADR. The proper target is back up into that propulsion gap. But you know, this is all dependent on what happens with the Swiss franc, doesn't it? So just plan your trade, and if you fancy it, take it. What's the risk going to be on that? I mean, that's about a quarter of an ADR, a quarter of a percent risk. It's just over a 1-to-1. I might leave that on, you know. To me, it's worth a quarter of a percent risk. I'm pretty sure I would never hold it all the way up to there, but that's where the trade is. Back up into this area here is the most logical resistance. But you've obviously got this little order block there, where we came into we broke out of, which it came in to find some buyers at. So 175 ADR. So good looking trade. I like it, but fundamentally you really are catching a falling knife with this thing at the minute. So at some point though, it's going to stop. Yeah, everything comes to an end. At some point, we'll pull it back, and you just don't know when that's going to be. So from a risk reward perspective, I like the look of it. I'm going to leave that in place. I'm only going to take one. I'm not going to add to it. What shall I add to it? Nah, it's too dangerous. I'm going to add to it. I'll leave that one in place. US dollar Swiss long. Did this with the Aussie yen, didn't I, on Friday? Look what happened to that. Yeah, that was I took that, didn't I? I said this looks nice as a hold. I'll put a stop under there. I think it's going to go at some point. We're going to get the yen weakness, and bang, and I got 1% out of it. So it's the same thing. Risk reward trade. I think that's worth a shot. Slightly bigger, taking it on a higher time frame. And US dollar yen, long, already long. Just waiting for some US dollar strength to come in. Slightly worried about this pullback. I hate taking 38 pullbacks. I just, most of the time a pullback is 50, 61.8, a decent pullback. Just don't like taking 38s. Just they fail a lot more. But yeah, I'm long. I'm looking for that to break. At the moment, we're just being let down by the US dollar strength at the minute. So we're just waiting for something to happen. So as I say, Wednesday, GDP, fingers crossed GDP comes out better than expected. That might help. And then we've got Bailey talking and Powell and obviously Lagarde. So if we get better than expected GDP figures, hopefully Powell will pump that and that will give the market a bit of a kick. And then obviously we've got things like PCE and PMI on Friday and Thursday, which have got the potential as well. So this week we've got the potential for the US dollar to find its feet and actually get some movement. If we get some good confidence figures coming out as well, that's not going to hurt. So there's a lot of catalysts this week for the US dollar. We just haven't had that movement. So I get the feeling it's on its way. But everything can go one way or the other, can't it? But yeah. Anyway, so that's an overview of everything. Everything is just flat at the minute. There's nothing in particularly good spots that I'm interested in taking new positions on, apart from that US dollar Swiss. So I'm just basically babysitting the current trades, and just when they ripen, stick them in the pot, and look after anything that isn't going well. Pound odd and Euro US dollar at the moment are the main protagonists. But I said on Friday, didn't I, with the pound odd and the Euro US dollar, I'll have a look where we are at the end on Friday, and then I'll decide whether or not to do any drawdown control. And on Friday it looked bearish as you like. Wake up this morning, again, we're just not going anywhere. So just waiting on all of this at the minute. So, and obviously you can see with the Euro US dollar, we've had a week. We haven't gone anywhere for a week. So what do? You have to sit there. If it ain't moving, you can't do anything. Anybody got any questions on anything else? That's all I've got today. Well, I say that's all I've got. That's all the pairs. So there isn't anything else. Apart from gold, obviously, which I don't really know anything about. Made my trades for the day, week. Good night all. Pain meds kicking in. Poor old Franco. Good job. You finished on a Monday? How can you finish on a Monday? Very nice. So yeah, that's all I've got for today. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. And as I say, news-wise, we've got things to watch out for this afternoon, durable goods, etc. But as I say, they don't tend to do an awful lot, and pending home sales, which doesn't do an awful lot. So we have got things which might start something. But other than that, I think really Wednesday's the main day. We might get a kick-off of tomorrow afternoon's confidence figures, but unlikely. So So nothing really to worry about from a news perspective today. Those indices off to the moon today across the board. So big, strong DAX push this morning. Big, strong push on the NAS and the S&P. So yeah, they're looking pretty bullish. So all getting to points potentially where if we are going to start moves, what the hell? God, this is an old MT4. This is my old risk reward MT4. Look, blimey. God, I haven't used this for a while. For any of you that are interested, if you want to repurpose your MT4 as a risk reward tool, you can do. You can use the Fibonacci tool. It's quite a handy little thing. I think I've done videos on this in the past. That's probably not the best place to put it. Let's get rid of that. Draw another one. So you can reprogram your MT4. So let's say, for example, I'm interested in going short when we break this low. And my stop is going to be put there. You can get it to calculate risk reward for you. Little tip. All you do is you go into your Fibo properties. You put 0 as a stop, 1 as an entry, and then 2.5 is 1.5 risk reward, 3 is 2-to-1 risk reward, 4 is 3-to-1 risk reward, and so on and so forth. And that will draw in lines. So if you're getting short here with a stop there, which is 80 pips, 2-to-1 will be roughly 160 pips away, something like that. There you go, little tip. If you want to use your fib as a risk reward. What I was actually trying to do there was use it for a proper defaults. Yeah, so what I was actually going to do was measure the move. Wrong way up. So 61.8 retracement is sort of halfway through that candle. So if, like I said, there's two potential scenarios playing out here. You've got your big move down, where your 61.8 retracement and 50 retracement are there. So this is the area I would be looking at for that kind of continuation leg. Or if we're going to be playing this as a leg, this is where I would be looking for the leg somewhere in here for the leg to end. So this could be the last up day, and if we get a push today, the rest of the week could well be a nice collapse. So key day today. Be really interesting to see what kind of candlestick we get on the daily chart today. If it looks like a doji or a spinning top, or we get any kind of shooting star formation, would be a very good sign of a drop. And obviously, if this ends up bullish today, tomorrow we'll be looking for a bearish engulfing to kickstart that next leg. So yeah, good, nice strong push, which tends to be the precursor to a reversal. So all looking good at the minute. Lovely rejection on the DAX at the moment on M5. The buyers have dried up on the DAX. What's the volume looking like at the minute? Yeah, volume's drying up as well. That last push we had on the S&P, just out of interest. This last push, so this move here was done on about 40,000 volume. This push here was done on just under 10k volume. So the volume's dried up up here, and the sellers have stepped in. So potentially we've got a push higher on lower volume, which tends to be the precursor to a rollover. So looking good. Okay, I'll leave it there today. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be in the Telegram group as usual, and I'll be back tomorrow morning 7:50. We'll have a look at how everything is going, have a look at where we've gone today off the back of the limited news that we've got. Anything that I close out or add to in here, I'll let you know and put it in the Telegram group. But at the moment, concentrate on New Zealand dollar CAD today. See if we can get that one across the line. Get that put in the bank, and then we'll start to deal with these two guys, the pound and the euro, if they get any deeper. But at the moment, I haven't even got anything in 1% drawdown yet. So happy days. Nothing to worry about at the moment. All right, have a good one, guys. If you need anything, as I say, I'll be in the Telegram group. Otherwise, back tomorrow morning, same time, 7:50, and we'll see you then. Have a good one.